Hi everybody, Cam Sweet here from the Garage Connection and Central Digger Supply, coming to you today with another review on one of these little mini skids. This one we're going to talk about today happens to be, I think this is an SDLOOL 323C, but they're all 323WC whatever style machines. Essentially we're talking about the single cylinder mini skid steers that come with wheels. Okay, so these are sold under quite a few different brand names, from AGT to PowerX, EGN, SDLOOL. I think there's another oddball brand kicking around there, but basically the single cylinder gasoline engine with the wheels, ready to go with the oil cooler on the side here. We're going to talk about this machine, some of its features, kind of how it's built or works. And then the big question is this worth getting over a track unit? So stay tuned for that. So right off the bat here, these machines are significantly different than the ones with the tracks. Not just because they have wheels, but how they're built, how the cylinders are arranged, everything is pretty drastically different when you put the wheels on instead of the tracks. So in regards to the whole cylinder arrangement thing, obviously the arm here is going to be lifting up and down our buckets, attachments, whatever. This arm has a very sweeping curve to it, as opposed to a lot of the track units. They're very straight arms. The other thing is the lift cylinders on these are not located on the side of the unit at all. They're actually vertical back here near the control station. So they're pushing straight up and down on this, as opposed to trying to push out to lift the thing. It's not better or worse, it's just a different design, but what it does mean is there's a lot less going on over here and no hoses to get caught on stuff, which is kind of nice. The other thing that these machines have differently than the tracked ones is the hydraulic oil cooler and stuff is not located on the front cover. It's located out back near you with a fan on it. Now that's different. I don't want to say it's better or worse. It's also just different, but what it basically means is that your access to the engine compartment in one of these is pretty significantly reduced. You have to raise the arms all the way up. You can't just pop the front cover open. On the flip side, there's a lot less going on in the engine compartment, so that's probably a plus. I did want to point out these cylinders when we had a chance. So we got the lifting arm right here, obviously running down to the bucket. You can see the end of the cylinder right here, and then it actually runs vertically and ties in down at the body, way down there. We'll go for a little walk here. So normal Rado single cylinder 420cc gasoline engine. It does have the electric start over here instead of up on the operator station. And then we see here we have our fan for our oil cooler. Now this fan has not come on at all, so clearly means I haven't been using it hard enough. But that's a big difference obviously from the ones that are in front. And the other thing is the operator station is fixed. So this is very thick steel. That's all of 3/4 of an inch. This station does not move, doesn't fold up, doesn't do anything. So when you're standing on it, that's it, you own it. So whatever height this thing works at, you're stuck with it. Now I have heard on the negative side of things, I've heard that a lot of people say that's too low and it gets hung up on stuff. I mean, it's really not far off the ground. So I have heard of actually people cutting. They'll either cut the welds or they just cut straight down and they move it up a little bit. I've never had an issue. I backed up with some stuff and I got a bunch of soil and stuff in there, but other than that, I haven't actually had a problem. In regards to the hydraulic arrangements here, so this is your attachment stuff, your aux hydraulics, and then over there is the case drain port. So what this means is this machine, you can run a hydraulic attachment that has a motor on it and not have to worry about blowing out the seals. Now the hoses all kind of loop up and over here and they tie into this operator station. And then back there is all of your hydraulic control components. We got a couple of lights right here, very nice. Oil temp gauge. This is your aux hydraulic hookup, and it does stay where you put it, so it's not a spring return, which I actually kind of like that. And then very, very basic switches over here. Horn, light switch, that's about it. Hopefully this works. So the unit itself, I got it all the way up here. It'll lift rather high. I mean, I'm like 5'10", and you know, that'll work. Like we talked about, the biggest thing is the limited access to this panel. It's bolted on, so you can't just go and take that off with a little latch. You got to undo some bolts. Down the front here, we have a hydraulic tank gauge with the temp thing on it, and some nice bumpers for the arm to sit up against once it comes down. Now, as we had discussed when we talked about this machine, the big difference being obviously the tracks versus the tires. It's not just that, it's the way that the drive components work that's very, very different with this machine. So this model and all the other ones that I've seen of these type of models, they have two drive motors exactly like the tracked machines. But where the difference ends up is that the drive motors in this are located in the back, and they directly drive these rear tires, okay? Then there are chains that run up to the front. The front is not actually a drive motor, it's just like a spindle that has a sprocket on it. And the chains drive the front spindle, thus giving the unit technical four-wheel drive, and it allows you to skid around turns and stuff like that. Some people had expressed concerns of, hey, is the chain going to stretch? Is the chain going to break? It's a very big chain. I don't know the terminology for chains, but it's a big old sumbitch. So I don't think breaking is going to be an issue. The chain stretching, that's a very valid point, especially after a break-in period where everything kind of gets to wear itself in. So the nice part is, just like the Ripa NDI 635, you take the front wheel off, there's some bolts that hold the spindle on, and then there's two jacking screws. So you loosen the bolts up, you screw the screws in, and it actually tensions the chain. Then you tighten the screws back up, and good to go. So that's huge. That's a big win, is that they made that adjustable, which I think is a benefit. The other thing about these machines that's a fairly large difference compared to the tracked ones is these go fast. Not insanely fast, but they move right along. I would say probably maybe just about double the speed of a tracked machine at a high RPM. And that's a very big deal if you're looking to use this on like a large lot and you don't want to have to start your journey in the morning and get to your work site by the afternoon. So if you're looking for something that moves pretty fast, this is definitely a viable option for you. The operation of the machine and stuff like that, it's fairly straightforward. And what we're going to do, we're going to fire this thing up now. I'm going to put on some nice background music, and you're going to see kind of how we negotiate the yard here. We'll go down the drainage ditch and all that good stuff. But pay attention to when I get to the street, when I get to the blacktop, on how this machine behaves. So I hope that that kind of illustrated a little bit about what I was talking about in regards to the speed and whatnot. The biggest thing with these is when you get a load on them, they actually do better on the asphalt and cement, because you're making the rear end just a little bit lighter, so it tends to kind of pivot around the front wheels as opposed to hopping all around trying to find its way. But negotiating ditches, and I mean, this isn't the deepest ditch in the world, but it's the best I can do in Florida, I guess. And I mean, it doesn't no problem at all. I mean, yeah, you hear the engine load up a little bit when it goes up the hill. That's pretty normal. But I will say, with these machines being the wheeled ones, I feel that they're significantly more stable than the tracked units. The other thing is, I was turning around in the yard, and I mean, yeah, that looks like death over there because I keep loading stuff in and out, but the grass is all intact. The tires haven't fallen off, right? Just like the tracks, they all fall off all the time. These tires, I believe, they're still all intact. So this machine, headache-wise, it's a big reduction in the kind of the pain in the assness of using one of these things. I have the big diesel mini skid, and every time I've needed to do something, whether it's like move a little pallet or move some rock or dirt around the yard, I end up coming to this one because you fire it up, you go, and you don't have to worry about anything. It's not that there's anything wrong with that diesel one, but this is like the perfect size to kind of do what you got to do quick, and then go on about your day, which is really nice. So, is this machine right for you, or would you be better off with a tracked one? I'm going to tell you my opinion. The tracked machines have a lot of inherent issues. Okay, they've got the drive motors get the wheel seal, the failure around the spindle coming out. The track tensioner bearings fall apart. The pivot wheel bearings fall apart. And the tracks fall off. I would say almost to a point where of frustration. So that's that, right? You got all the issues with the track machines. The benefits of the track machines, usually you can get dual cylinder ones. You can get physically bigger ones. You can also get the narrow ones, which is kind of nice. These are quite wide. And they're usually a little bit heavier with a bigger oil cooler. This machine, all right, you've got 4-wheel drive or 2.5-wheel drive, whatever, 4-wheel drive. You've got this one. This model happens to have a fairly wide bucket. Some of the other entry-level ones have a pretty narrow bucket. You get the additional ground speed. You get the cylinders inside of it instead of on the outsides, which I kind of like. And the oil cooler is not located in the engine compartment, so does it work better? Maybe. But the big takeaway that I had from this machine is that when I use this machine, I feel a lot more comfortable doing what I have to do around the yard. So something about how the tires interact with the ground, I think it's because, like, if you went up to a log, let's say a small log on the ground with a tracked machine, you would climb, and then the minute you reach the pivot point, it would shift all of a sudden and you'd fall this way, and then you'd pivot off it and then it would dump back down, okay? Where this, the tire goes up and over it, and then that's it. Until you get to the rear tires, then that one goes up and over it, and then that's it. So it's not this kind of rocky boat motion going all the time. I feel very planted on this machine. The other thing, I love the speed of these. They move right along. So to me, that's a huge benefit. I think my FedEx delivery is here too. Oh, maybe not. Okay. And so I like how these machines operate. I like the fact that the wheels don't randomly fall off. That's a huge benefit, and they feel a lot more planted. Quite ironically, these actually sold cheaper at the auction than the tracked machines, especially when they first came out. You could pick these up for a couple of grand, where now it seems like things are kind of leveling off. But I exclusively buy the wheel ones now. I do not like the tracked ones. They've ruined the backyard. I hate when the tracks fall off. They always seem to let me down when I need them, and this one doesn't do that, or hasn't done it yet. So you do with that information what you will. I'm just trying to pass that along to you. Again, any of the 323Ws or the 323Cs or the 323 whatevers usually have the tires. So I hope this video helps you out if you're thinking about buying one of these machines, considering looking, the tracked versus wheel debate. That's my opinion. I'd say go with the wheels all day long, especially because you can swap these things out for something really cool if you need to. Maybe put some like boggers on there or something. Yeah, so for now, that's going to do it. Cam Sweet here from the Garage Connection Central Digger Supply. Please stay on those projects.